Stand on any random street corner in London right now and it hits you instantly, voices from everywhere. You'll hear accents and languages switching up every few seconds like you're scrolling through the whole world in real life. Nearly 40% of the people living here were born outside the UK, which makes London one of the most diverse cities on the planet. But rewind all the way back about 2,000 years, and this place? Completely different story. No skyscrapers. No crowds. No traffic. Just wet marshland stretched along a tidal river. Quiet. Barely any people. No real importance to anyone, except one group that saw opportunity where nobody else did. The Romans. So how did we get from muddy nothing to one of the most powerful and influential cities in history? The answer is everything. Invasion. Fire. Collapse. Disease. Power struggles. Rebuilding. Over and over again. London didn't just grow, it survived. It adapted. It reinvented itself every single time something tried to wipe it out. And for centuries, we could only imagine what those earlier versions of London actually looked like. Old sketches, worn-out paintings, descriptions written by people who lived through it. But now, using AI trained on historical imagery, we can actually bring those lost versions of London back to life. Streets filled with people. Smoke rising from rooftops. Markets, chaos, movement, all of it. In this video, you're about to travel through nearly 2,000 years of history. From a Roman outpost to a global megacity. So sit back, and let's take it all the way back to where it started. The Romans. The year is 43 AD. Four Roman legions land on the coast of Kent. This isn't a raid. This is an invasion. They push inland with a clear objective: take control of Britain and lock it into the Roman Empire. But to do that, they need something critical: a reliable crossing over the River Thames. Not just anywhere, somewhere narrow enough to build a bridge, but deep enough to allow ships to pass through. A spot that connects land routes with trade routes. And they find it, right at the lowest point where the river can be crossed before it opens into a wide estuary. It's strategic. It's practical. It's perfect. Within a decade, a settlement forms here, Londinium. And it grows fast. This isn't just soldiers setting up camp. This is a full-on trading hub. Merchants from Gaul. Soldiers from Syria. Traders from North Africa. Goods moving in and out constantly. The Romans build a bridge, right where London Bridge stands today, and suddenly, everything connects. Roads spread out in every direction. Ships dock along the riverbanks. Markets fill up. Londinium becomes one of the most important cities in Roman Britain almost overnight. But then, disaster hits. Only 17 years after it's founded, everything changes. A rebellion explodes. Queen Boudica of the Iceni tribe leads a massive uprising against Roman rule. Her forces sweep across Roman-controlled territory, destroying everything in their path. When they reach Londinium, they don't hold back. The entire city is burned to the ground. Today, archaeologists have found a thick layer of red ash buried beneath modern London, physical proof of that destruction. But Rome doesn't abandon the city. They come back and rebuild it bigger, stronger, more organized. Massive defensive walls go up around the city. Some of those walls are still standing today. Public buildings are constructed: bathhouses, forums, amphitheaters. By its peak, Londinium has around 60,000 residents. It becomes the largest city in Roman Britain. This isn't a remote outpost anymore. It's a fully developed Roman city. Then, around 410 AD, everything starts falling apart. Back in Europe, the Roman Empire is collapsing. Attacks from multiple sides. Resources stretched thin. Britain becomes too far away. Too expensive to defend. The message comes from Emperor Honorius: you're on your own. The Roman legions withdraw. And just like that, Londinium loses everything holding it together. Trade networks collapse. Imported goods stop arriving. Currency loses value. Merchants leave. Officials leave. Skilled workers leave. Within a generation, the population crashes from tens of thousands to just a few hundred people. The city becomes a ghost of itself. Buildings decay. Roofs collapse. Streets disappear under overgrowth. For nearly 200 years, Londinium fades into ruins. But one thing doesn't stop moving. The Thames. And rivers always bring people back. The Saxons. When the Saxons arrive in Britain after the Romans leave, they don't see opportunity in Londinium. They see something else. Something strange. Something abandoned. To them, the old Roman city feels cursed. Haunted. Too massive to understand. One Saxon poet even describes the ruins as the work of giants, because they couldn't believe humans built something that big. So instead of rebuilding inside Londinium, they avoid it completely. Around the 670s, they build a new settlement about a mile west of the old Roman walls. They call it Lundenwic. A trading town. This area today? That's basically Covent Garden and the Strand. So if you've ever walked through that part of London, you've been standing on top of Saxon history. Lundenwic grows steadily. By the early 700s, trade is flowing again. Goods arriving from across Europe, amber, pottery, tools, wine. At its peak, maybe 8,000 people live there. Not massive, but active, alive, and growing. Then the pattern repeats. New threat. New destruction. The Vikings arrive. Starting in the late 8th century, Norse raiders begin attacking the settlement. At first, it's quick raids. But over time, it escalates. In 842, they hit hard, sacking Lundenwic completely. Then again in 851. At this point, it's clear, the open trading town isn't defensible. So King Alfred the Great steps in. In 886, he retakes London and makes a strategic decision that changes everything. He abandons Lundenwic. And moves the population back inside the old Roman walls. Why? Because those walls still work. They repair them. Reinforce them. Rebuild the defenses. The city becomes Lundenburg, a fortified stronghold. Meanwhile, the old settlement is left behind. Over time, it becomes known as Aldwic. A name that still exists today in central London. From here, the city keeps changing hands between Saxons and Vikings. Power shifts back and forth. Until 1016, when King Nut, a Danish ruler, takes control and makes London his capital. Then comes another turning point. In 1042, Edward the Confessor becomes king. And he builds Westminster Abbey. Not inside the city, but just outside it. That one decision shapes London forever. From this point on, London splits into two identities. The city. For trade and business. Westminster, for politics and power. And that division still exists today. Then comes the year that changes England completely. Edward dies with no heir. Harold Godwin's son becomes king. But across the Channel, William, Duke of Normandy, claims the throne was promised to him. Harold is forced to fight off an invasion from the north first. He wins, but barely has time to recover. Because William has already landed in the south. Harold marches his exhausted army down to meet him. They clash at Hastings on October 14th. By the end of the day, Harold is dead. William wins. And everything changes. On Christmas Day 1066, he's crowned King of England at Westminster Abbey. The Norman era begins. And London is about to be transformed again. Medieval London. William doesn't fully trust the people of London, and honestly, he has a reason not to. They backed Harold, his enemy. So instead of taking chances, he locks the city down. He builds fortresses. Not one. Not two. 3. The biggest of them becomes the Tower of London. At first, it's not some tourist attraction. It's a warning. A message. Power in physical form. The White Tower rises above everything else. Thick stone walls. Nearly 90 feet tall. Built to dominate the skyline and remind everyone exactly who's in charge. And it works. Now London starts growing again, fast. By the year 1100, around 15,000 people live here. The streets are tight, crowded, noisy. Houses packed close together, upper floors leaning out over narrow roads like they're almost touching. It's chaotic, but it's making money. Trade is booming, and with that comes organization. Guilds start forming. Goldsmiths. Fishmongers. Bakers. Cloth merchants. These groups don't just control their trades, they control influence. Power starts shifting slightly away from the crown and into the hands of London's merchants. By 1215, that power becomes impossible to ignore. When King John is forced to sign the Magna Carta, London plays a key role. The city backs the barons, and in return, it secures privileges for itself, including the right to elect its own mayor. That's a big deal. It means London isn't just a city anymore. It's becoming politically powerful. Meanwhile, one structure becomes the lifeline of everything. London Bridge. Rebuilt in stone between 1176 and 1209, it's not just a bridge, it's basically a small city sitting over the river. Shops line both sides. Houses stacked on top. There's even a chapel built right into it. For over 600 years, it's the only bridge across the Thames in London. Everything passes through it. Trade, people, goods, and sometimes, warnings. Heads of executed traitors are displayed on spikes at the entrance, a reminder of what happens if you step out of line. Then comes 1348. And everything changes again. Ships arrive at London's docks carrying something invisible, but deadly. Rats. On those rats, fleas. And inside those fleas, the bacteria that causes the Black Death. Within 2 years, the city is devastated. Between 1/3 and 1/2 of London's population is gone. Entire streets are abandoned. Bodies pile up faster than they can be buried. Mass graves are dug outside the city walls just to keep up. London, once thriving, becomes quiet, empty, broken, but just like before, it doesn't stay down forever. By the late 1300s, the population starts growing again. But now there's tension, frustration, anger. In 1381, it explodes. The Peasants Revolt. Workers and peasants march into London demanding change, an end to unfair taxes, more rights, more freedom. They storm the Tower of London. They execute powerful figures, including the Archbishop of Canterbury. For a moment, it looks like everything could flip. The young king, Richard II, meets with them and makes promises. But those promises don't last. The revolt is crushed. Its leader, Wat Tyler, is killed. The rest are hunted down and executed. But something has changed. The people now know their power. And that idea doesn't disappear. Tudor and Stuart era. By 1500, London's population is sitting around 50,000. Then suddenly, it takes off. By 1600, it hits 200,000. By 1650, nearly 400,000. London becomes the largest city in Europe. And a big reason for that growth? Henry VIII. In the 1530s, he breaks away from the Catholic Church. Not for politics, for personal reasons. He wants a divorce. The Pope says no. So Henry creates his own church, the Church of England, and makes himself the head of it. Then he does something massive. He shuts down all the monasteries. In London, those monasteries owned huge amounts of land. Once Henry takes control of it, that land goes up for grabs. Wealthy families and merchants jump on it, building houses, expanding the city outward. London suddenly has room to grow. Then comes Elizabeth I. Under her rule, London becomes a cultural powerhouse. The Globe Theatre opens in 1599. Writers, actors, artists, this is where it's all happening. Shakespeare is putting on plays like Hamlet, Othello, King Lear. At the same time, trade is exploding. Ships are traveling to the Americas, Africa, Asia. The East India Company is founded in 1600, laying the groundwork for a global empire. Money is flowing in from all directions. But beneath all that success, there's a problem. Actually, two problems: disease and fire. London is basically built to burn. Wooden houses, thatched roofs, narrow streets, open flames for cooking and light. No fire department. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And in the 1660s, it all hits at once. First, the plague returns in 1665. Not exactly the same as the Black Death, but close enough. At its peak, 7,000 people are dying every single week. The rich flee the city. The poor are stuck. By the time it's over, around 100,000 people are dead. Then, just 1 year later, September 2, 1666. A fire starts in a bakery on Pudding Lane. Hot summer. Dry conditions. Strong winds. The fire spreads fast. Faster than anyone expects. For 4 days straight, London burns. By the time it's over, 85% of the city inside the walls is destroyed. 13,000 houses gone. 87 churches gone. Including the old St. Paul's Cathedral. Over 100,000 people are left homeless. And yet, somehow, very few people actually die in the fire. Now comes the rebuild. Architect Christopher Wren proposes a completely new design, wide streets, organized layout, modern planning. But it's too complicated to implement quickly. So instead, London rebuilds mostly on its old layout. But with one major change. No more wood. New buildings must be made of brick and stone. Stronger. Safer. And Wren does get one major project. Rebuilding St. Paul's Cathedral. The new version, with its massive dome, takes 35 years to complete. And it still stands today. Georgian and Victorian era. By the 1700s, London isn't just a big city anymore, it's becoming the center of everything. Ideas. Money. Power. One of the most interesting places in the city? Coffee houses. These spots are everywhere, and they're not just for drinking coffee. This is where deals happen. Where news spreads. Where people debate politics, business, science, all of it. In a way, this is like the internet before the internet existed. One coffee house turns into something much bigger. Lloyd's Coffee House eventually becomes Lloyd's of London, one of the world's biggest insurance markets. Another one. Jonathan's Coffee House, becomes the London Stock Exchange. So yeah, serious things are starting right here in small, crowded rooms filled with noise and conversation. At the same time, London is becoming the heart of a growing empire. In 1735, Robert Walpole becomes the first Prime Minister to live at 10 Downing Street, a place that's still the center of British politics today. Then in 1761, King George III buys Buckingham House as a private home. At the time, it's just a residence. But later, it transforms into Buckingham Palace, one of the most iconic buildings in the world. Meanwhile, the city itself keeps expanding. In 1750, Westminster Bridge opens, giving London only its second crossing over the Thames after centuries of relying on just London Bridge. More bridges follow. More connections. More growth. Then comes a major turning point. 1815. Napoleon is defeated. Britain becomes the dominant global power. And London? That's where all the money flows. Banks. Shipping companies. Trading houses. Wealth pours in from across the empire, India, the Caribbean, Africa. And then, everything accelerates. The Industrial Revolution hits. Factories rise. Railways spread. Production explodes. London transforms again. In 1801, the population is just over 1 million. By 1851, 2.5 million. By 1901, 6.5 million. It becomes the largest city in the world. The Victorians start building on a scale that's hard to even imagine. Trafalgar Square is created in the 1840s. The Houses of Parliament and Big Ben rise in the 1850s after the old palace burns down. That Gothic style becomes part of London's identity. Then in 1851, something massive happens. The Great Exhibition, held in Hyde Park, inside a huge glass and iron structure called the Crystal Palace. It showcases Britain's industrial power to the world. 6 million people visit. It's a moment of peak confidence. London feels unstoppable. But behind all that progress, there's a darker reality. The city is deeply unequal. The rich live in areas like Mayfair and Belgravia, luxury, comfort, space. The poor? Packed into overcrowded slums in the East End. Living conditions are rough. Disease spreads fast. Cholera outbreaks in the 1830s and 1840s kill tens of thousands. Entire neighborhoods get wiped out. At first, nobody understands why. Then in 1854, a doctor named John Snow figures it out. Cholera spreads through contaminated water, not air. That discovery changes everything. It leads to one of the most important upgrades in London's history. The sewer system. Built by Joseph Bazalgette after the Great Stink of 1858, when the Thames became so polluted that Parliament literally had to shut down. His system redirects waste away from the river. And parts of it are still in use today. Then there's transportation. In 1863, London opens the world's first underground railway. The Tube, another major innovation that defines the city. And in 1894, Tower Bridge is completed, an engineering masterpiece. But crime is still a problem. In 1829, the Metropolitan Police is created, the first professional police force. Officers become known as bobbies, named after Robert Peel. Even with that, danger remains. In 1888, Jack the Ripper terrorizes the East End, murdering multiple women and never getting caught. The case becomes legendary, and shows just how dark parts of the city still are. 20th century. The 1900s hit London hard. World War I takes a massive toll, hundreds of thousands of British soldiers lose their lives. But the city itself survives physically. Then comes World War II. And this time, London is directly targeted. The Blitz. From September 1940 to May 1941, German bombers attack London almost every night. Bombs fall across the city. Entire neighborhoods are destroyed. Buildings collapse. Fires spread. People take shelter underground. And yet, somehow, the city holds on. St. Paul's Cathedral survives, standing tall in photos surrounded by smoke and destruction. A symbol of resilience. By the end of the war, over 1 million buildings are damaged or destroyed. The country is exhausted. London is struggling. The empire is collapsing. India gains independence in 1947. Rationing continues into the 1950s. Then comes another disaster. 1952. The Great Smog. A thick mix of fog and coal smoke covers the city. Visibility drops to near zero. Breathing becomes dangerous. In just 5 days, around 12,000 people die. It's one of the worst environmental disasters in British history. But again, London adapts. It rebuilds. It changes. In 1951, the Festival of Britain signals a fresh start. New buildings rise. Modern architecture replaces bombed-out areas. And something else begins to reshape the city. Immigration. In 1948, the Windrush generation arrives from the Caribbean. Then more people come, from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Africa, Eastern Europe. London becomes more diverse than ever before. By the 1960s, the city experiences a cultural explosion. Music. Fashion. Art. This is swinging London. The Beatles. The Rolling Stones. Carnaby Street. For a moment, London feels young again. But the following decades are unstable. Economic struggles. Strikes. Terrorist attacks from the IRA. By the 1980s, parts of the city, especially the Docklands, are abandoned and neglected. Then comes redevelopment. Massive investment transforms those areas. Canary Wharf rises. Skyscrapers. Finance. Business. London reinvents itself again, this time as a global financial hub. 21st century. The 2000s begin with the Millennium Dome. At first, it's seen as a failure, but later, it becomes the O2 Arena, one of the biggest entertainment venues in the world. And London keeps growing. The 2012 Olympics change everything for East London. New infrastructure. New housing. New energy. The population passes 9 million, the highest since before World War II. Modern London is defined by one thing above everything else. Diversity. Over 300 languages are spoken here. Entire neighborhoods reflect cultures from around the world. Walk through the city and you'll find food, music, traditions from almost every country on Earth. The skyline keeps evolving too. Glass towers rise next to historic buildings. Old meets new, constantly. Some people love it, some people don't. But it keeps happening, because that's what London does. It changes. It adapts. It survives. From Roman invasions, to Viking raids, to plague, to fire, to war. Every time something tries to break it, it comes back. Stronger. Different. Still growing. That's what makes London, London. Messy. Busy. Expensive. Complicated. But alive. And it's been that way for nearly 2,000 years. Thanks for watching. Putting something like this together takes a lot of time, going through thousands of years of history and turning it into one story. If you enjoyed this journey through London's evolution, from a Roman settlement to a global powerhouse, hit that like button and subscribe for more. And drop a comment, which city should we explore next? As always, we'll catch you in the past.